setting, but let's go with the fight to the death. A grizzly bear, a silverback gorilla, and maybe a lion or a tiger, an African lion, or one of the flavors of tiger.
Lex Friedman, the greatest podcaster in the world. This episode, he brings on some guy named Dan Hammerman, or Dan. I don't know what he does for a living, but he has some area of expertise in zoology, obviously, if Lex was going to ask this question. Now, after watching this video, I just had to respond on behalf of grizzly bears because they can't speak. Now, here's a little caveat. Dan Herr actually does seed, and he says that the bear is at the... But he says it's only slightly, and I just don't like that at all very much. But first, let's hear what he has.
Aged up together. However, there is very strong evidence from both hunters and video, which shows on many occasions bears being chased off by cougar and wolverines. Now, what's that? That's fear? What is that? What do you mean chased off? If they fight over meat, which, and say that, for example, the cougar has killed something and the bear wants the meat, the cougar will chase off risk aversion. Exactly. The bears are risk averse. What I would say is this: the bears are risk averse. What I would say is this: the bears are very, very powerful in their domain, but they don't have the battle experience of a lion. They don't take on animals as tough as a Cape buffalo. They don't take on elephant. What the toughest thing it would probably take on would probably be a bull moose, and a bull moose is a formidable.
Now, to me, it sounds sort of like he has a bit of a hard-on for lions. There's two crucial mistakes that Dan is making with his decision here. He says the risk aversion of bears is something you could attribute to why a lion might win. He says that cougars chasing away bears is an indicator that a bear may not be able to take on a cougar. But I see it differently. I think that this is just a show of the bear's intellect. The bear is an opportunist. So why risk it for the biscuit when you really don't have to risk it for the biscuit and you can get your own biscuits? Or make them from scratch with this sponsor, Whisk, the #1 recipe organizing app. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have any sponsorships, but that would be a pretty good transition if I had a sponsor. The second mistake that he makes here is that he says the biggest confrontation a bear sees is encountering something like a bull moose. He says a bull moose is no slouch. Sure, bull moose are pretty strong. They're big, weigh over 1,000 pounds on average. But that's not the biggest competitor that a bear has. The biggest competitor that a bear has is actually huge. It's other bears. Other bears are far more formidable opponents than a lion. And I feel like just glossing over the fact that bears are constantly interacting with other bears is pretty disingenuous. It doesn't necessarily matter that they don't necessarily end in fatalities the majority of the time. It just goes to show that they are actually having confrontations and they are accustomed to fighting. I don't see any way that the lion can beat the bear, but there are a lot of ways that the bear can beat the lion, especially when you apply what was said earlier on in the podcast. The idea of the optimal choice for combat is your concentration of force at the most vulnerable position of your foe, your opponent, your enemy. And so the lion's most likely approach is to go for the jugular. So let's give it to the lion. The lion lands its attack on the bear, and the lion grabs a hold of the bear's jugular. For one, this attack is going to be negligible. An attack on the bear's jugular is not going to work for the lion. we have all seen bears' necks, and we know that that thing is not getting penetrated by the lion. The lion's not going to successfully be able to suffocate the bear. Not only that, but giving this win to the lion here, the lion lands its favorite attack, its go-to attack. Let's say it does. This position is literally the most compromising position for the lion because it's right in front of the bear and it's in the perfect place to be picked up and pinned. I think that the lion put itself in checkmate here by attacking its jugular. The lion put itself in the most compromising position. The bear can now pin the lion and do whatever it wants to the lion. We have seen lions fighting and they can pin each other. We've seen them locked in combat, scuffling, rolling around on the ground, scratching each other, biting each other. And you can see that a lion sometimes struggles to unpin itself from another lion. Now add 600 pounds to an adult male lion, and that's where the grizzly bear weighs in at. And the grizzly bear is most definitely going to be capable of pinning the lion. And it's not that a grizzly bear is incapable of recognizing that what it has pinned is alive or dead. As a matter of fact, as the lion continues to struggle to try to become unpinned, the bear will only become more aggressive and go in for the kill. As a matter of fact, when you encounter a bear, they tell you that your best bet is, if you're attacked, actually not to fight and just to try to protect your vitals, because the more you fight, the more the bear is going to fight. Now, I just don't see any way of the lion being able to beat the bear in the enclosed space. He attributes the lion's perks, or what the lion has one up on the bear with, is its speed, its agility. But in a cage match, that factor doesn't really matter much. There's not much that the lion can employ with its speed and agility that will even damage the bear, harm the bear. What do you guys think? You notice that I didn't bring up the gorilla. I don't have a problem with saying that a gorilla will lose to a lion. I can see it, I could imagine, and especially with the fact that gorillas have a harsh matchup, they don't really have much of a way to put out the force required to beat a lion or a tiger. But a bear most definitely does, and a bear most definitely would and could beat a lion. The odds aren't slightly in favor of the bear. He says he slightly favors the bear, but no, it's unimaginably in favor of the bear. Now, he says that in a battle of a human versus a lion, a human versus a chimpanzee, he says it's 1,000 to 0. 1,000 times a lion is going to beat a human, a chimp is going to beat a human. And yes, I think that's very applicable. But then he goes on to say that he slightly favors the bear. I just feel like it's disingenuous. The bear is monumentally more stacked than the lion. There's very low odds of the lion winning. How can a lion beat a bear? Especially when you consider everything that the lion knows, everything that the lion will try, is going to put the lion in the worst position possible. Like, it's like, say we have catapults and our main goal is to bombard our enemy with these catapults. We shoot over the walls and we just destroy our enemy. Now imagine bring your catapults out, you're approaching this stronghold, and they literally do not have walls. They just have a bunch of cavalry, a bunch of men on horses. Now your catapults are in the most compromised position and they're practically worthless. you're not going to be able to aim your catapult and hit these people that are riding around on their horses. So now you see what I'm trying to say here. The lion is practically incapable of subduing the bear. And we have one indicator for this actually. A sloth bear versus a tiger. That's something that actually naturally occurs pretty often in the wild. And we see that sloth bears are capable of killing tigers. Not only that, sloth bears are extremely formidable foes against tigers, and it's rare that a tiger would even attack a sloth bear. Now, that being said, he brings up a lot of points about the lion being a more experienced hunter and the lion attacking even more formidable carrion such as Cape buffalo and elephants and a hippopotamus. But this is disingenuous because hippopotamus attack a Cape buffalo or an elephant. The lion knows 100% of the time that it's going to lose those confrontations. We aren't talking about a pride of lions versus a group of grizzly bears. We're talking about a singular lion versus a singular grizzly bear. And in most situations, lions, even as a pride, they will not approach an elephant. They will not approach a hippo or rhino because they know it's just not worth it. What do you guys think? Who wins this confrontation? I'm giving it to the bear, and I want you to respond. Tell me, who do you think is going to win?